Okay, let's try to begin today's session. I'm just starting today's session now. Yesterday, we were discussing about uh, angular velocity. We already, in our first session, we already discussed about angular displacement. And last, I think last topic that we had in our discussion, that was angular acceleration. And that we defined that it is a rate of change of, it is a rate of change of it is a rate of change of angular velocity. It is a rate of change of angular velocity. So we already defined its formula. The formula of the angular acceleration is change in velocity, change in angular velocity specifically. Change in means omega final minus omega initial divided by time. T minus 0 you can take, because or T0 also you can mention over here, or instead of T also it is sufficient. So delta omega divided by delta T. So at the starting, the time we consider that is equal to 0, that the reason why I mention over there 0. Otherwise, no need to mention 0 also. You can directly mention T, or you can directly mention delta T. So the unit was, or unit is, we can say, the unit of the alpha is, unit of alpha, that is equals to rad per second square. Rad per second square, because the we can say that unit of a omega is rad per second divided by second, and the second will go to the numerator and it will become a second square. So rad per second square is the unit of that particular physical quantity. Angular acceleration, right? I think in a 11th standard we already studied about what we have studied about. In 11th standard we already studied about we can say angular acceleration. Then centripetal acceleration we need to discuss centripetal acceleration, then centrifugal acceleration. We already discovered their derivation also. In this today's session, I'm not going to discuss any kind of derivation like this centripetal and centrifugal acceleration. So what centripetal acceleration is, in short, I'll explain to you. Centripetal acceleration, that means if there is an object, here we can say that observer is present. I'm just going to denote by that point is nothing but O. O is observer. As O is observer, at a point O is observer, I'm going to say it is we can call it as a reference point also, right? And around the reference point, that particular object is rotating. Here we have an object at a position A. Now it is going to change its position from A to B. What will going to happen? It will going to subtend certain angle. But what exactly keep this particular object in contact with the O? So the question is by which kind of physical quantity is represented, or which is responsible for keeping any object in a circular path? That kind of physical quantity is called as a centripetal acceleration or centripetal force. So this is a physical quantity which is responsible for what? It is responsible to keep the object, in circular path. Let's take one example. We can say that one example. What example it is? If just take a thread and just tied it to a stone, and you can join that particular another end of that particular thread to the any rigid support. You can say that rigid support may be your hand, right? And now if we are going to apply certain force on this particular object to keep in a circular path around this particular rigid support, that particular force is called the centripetal force. And whatever the acceleration is occupied by this particular object due to this force is called the centripetal force. Now what direction of that centripetal force is? The direction of the centripetal force is, we can say that the motion it is the acceleration along the radius towards the center. So that is called as centripetal acceleration. It is acceleration imparted by the observer, or we can say that any force on an object along the radius toward the center. That is called as a centripetal acceleration. That is a very trivial definition we already have. So simple. We can take an example of any object which is moving in a circular path. You can take example of a blades of a fan. You can even take the example of a blades of a we can say that mixer grinder. You can take many more example. Even you can take an example of a in our country, in our we can say Maharashtra, Fugdi is there. So we used to keep a hand in hand, and we are just rotating about certain axis. And as soon as we are going to remove that particular hand, what is going to happen that you already need. So just because of the lack of the centripetal force, that circular motion is get disturbed. So for in order to keep object in a circular path, what kind of force, centripetal force, or what kind of acceleration is occupied by that particular object by application of the centripetal force, that is called as the centripetal acceleration. And something which disturbs circular motion, that is called the centrifugal acceleration. What exactly does it mean? Let me give you one example. As soon as you are going to release this particular end, what will happen? This particular object will move away from the observer. If we are going to, if whatever the force which is responsible to keep this particular object in a circular motion, if that force, if you are going to release, what will going to happen? That object will move in any path. We can say that. What kind of path it will be? It is nothing but a tangential path, isn't it? So as this particular way, the force which is responsible to disturb, the force or the acceleration which is responsible to disturb circular motion, isn't it? Right? So something, but what should be its direction? Its direction is the direction of centripetal acceleration. Centripetal acceleration is along the radius toward the center. What is the direction of a centrifugal acceleration? That is along the radius. Even it is along the radius, but away from the center. It is away from the center. So that's the reason why whenever we supposed to have such kind of centrifugal type of force, object is moving away. And as it is moving away, in what manner it moving away? It can move in a tangential path. Take an example of let's take a bicycle, right? And just try to run that bicycle in a muddy water, right? What's supposed to happen? That water comes out from the end of the or the edge of the tire. So due to that reason, for example, let me draw for you, right? So just take an example. This is your tire or the wheel of your bicycle, and here we can suppose to say that we have a water. If this particular tire is rotating, then along the tangent, this particular water droplets are moving out. So why they are just moving out like that? Because of we can say that centripetal acceleration. They are not being in a circular motion. They are not keeping themselves in a circular motion, but just because of we can say that centrifugal acceleration, they are moving away. So that is the best example of we can say that centrifugal acceleration. Another example. In our farm, in our we can say that village, we supposed to have a sprinklers. Sprinklers are working on what factor? Sprinklers are working on a centrifugal acceleration. As water come out and it is rotating, it is, we can say that, gushing out from that particular outlet of that particular sprinkler. So that is also one of the great example of a centrifugal acceleration. What is another example of a centrifugal acceleration? We can say that, or we can say that you can take an example of a while making, we can say that while making what we can call that particular something which is coming from something we are just preparing from the milk. I think yes, it is a butter, right? So it is a butter. While preparing a butter, that means whatever the butter that we are using day to day life, that is not I am just talking about. Butter means in Marathi we can call it as a what we can call it as loni, right? Loni, yes it is, right? So while preparing, while we can say that preparing butter from a milk, that time we use certain device in our day-to-day life. So, and as that we are just rotating that particular shaft, that water, or we can say that milk coming out from that. So that is one of the example of a centrifugal acceleration, right? Now, we already discovered, we already derived the formula for the centripetal acceleration. What was the, we can say that formula for the centripetal acceleration? Centripetal acceleration or the radial acceleration, AR will be is equals to, that is equals to V square upon R, or V omega, or R omega square. This was the formula I derived in a last, we can say last lecture, or not last lecture, in the last academic year. In the 11th standard, we studied about that. But its a sign is in the case of centripetal acceleration, it is sign is a negative. In the case of centrifugal acceleration, sign is a positive. In the case of centrifugal, that acceleration is positive. You can name it as a AR2, that is a positive. That is V square upon R, or V omega, or R omega square. Sign is a positive. But in the case of centripetal acceleration, sign is a negative. But the magnitude of the both acceleration is the same, right? Magnitude is same. Means if I just take the example like that, if a centripetal acceleration, it's a magnitude, and we can say that centrifugal acceleration, their magnitude is same. Centrifugal acceleration, their magnitude is same. Even the force, centripetal force, their magnitude is same. Centrifugal force, their magnitude is same. Only what is the change in there? The direction is changed. Direction is different. As the direction is different, we can say that as the direction is different. What is the direction of centripetal acceleration? Along the radius toward the center. What is the direction of centrifugal acceleration or centrifugal force? Along the radius, but away from the center or away from the observer, right? Now we got the solution, we got the derivation of that particular formula for that particular centripetal acceleration. You can refer my previous notes, so you will get the idea of what centripetal acceleration is. Now our real chapter starts. So you can note it down, that is a rotational dynamics. Right now, let's take a new page for the new attempt. Rotational dynamics. You can name it as a rotational dynamics. This is the.
Sir, 2 minutes second page open करा 2 minutes.
This already mentioned in the 11th standard. We already have that particular kind of notes. Everything I just gave to you. No need to copy down everything. I'll give you the notes of this all the pictures.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move towards it. We can say next topic. Right? Okay. So we are talking about the rotational dynamics. What exactly is the, we can say, rotational dynamic is? This is very, or we can say that quite important chapter. As it is, we can say quite important chapter. That means we need to be very careful while learning this particular chapter. We need to very careful while learning this chapter. So why it is like that? Because as far as the different kind of competitive examination, at least 1 to 2 examples are supposed to be there. What I said, that at least 1 to 2 examples are supposed to be there. So that's the reason why this is quite important chapter. So from the starting of this particular chapter, we need to focus on every aspect of this particular every point of this particular chapter, right? So why I'm just giving more impression on this kind of chapter just because of it is quite important, right? So rotational dynamic, the word itself says rotation. The word itself says rotation. So rotation and revolution, these are the two different things. Rotation and revolution, or revolving something, right? Revolution or revolve, right? So these are the two different things. Rotation is a different thing and revolution is a different thing. So what rotation is, we can say rotation is nothing but is something is moving around a fixed axis with let's take an example of a say door. Door is supposed to rotate around a, we can say that, a fixed axis. Door is rotates around a, we can say that, fixed axis. As door is rotated around a fixed axis, so that is the rotation. Next, you can take an example of a seesaw. Seesaw is also rotating around a fixed axis. You can take an example of a say bike is stationary, means you are just keeping that bike on the stand of that particular bike, and its a tire is rotating. So that is the rotation. Okay, so these are the some few examples of a rotation. So what are the example of a revolution? Planets are revolving. Planets are revolving. That means they are just moving around a fixed point. Our joints are rotating. If I'm just say my palm is, I'm just moving. For example, during a warm up of any kind of before exercise, we used to rotate our hands. So that rotation, that is nothing but a rotation, right? So a revolution means the biggest difference or the common difference between rotation and revolution is, rotation means object is rotating about our own axis. Own axis, that means what? Let's take one example. For example, say this is any rigid body. I said, say it is a rigid body. Rigid body, that means, that already I explained, but again I will explain. What do you mean by rigid body? There is no change in, relative position between, any 2 points, within body, even after application of, deforming force, right? What I said, that what do you mean by rigid body? We'll discuss rotation and revolution in detail little later, but first of all, just try to understand what do you mean by rigid body. What exactly do you mean by rigid body? If I'm going to apply a force, unbalanced force, not a balanced force, right? And even after application of a force, say force F1, force F2, force F3, F4, up to Fn, any amount of force you can going to apply, and still even after application of such a force, there will be no change in the shape and size, or there will be no change in the, we can say that, between the 2 points, between any 2 points, that is called as a, we can say that is called as a, that kind of body is called as a deforming force. If there is no change in the 2 points, within a 2 point, like take an example of it. Take any metallic rod and try to apply force on it. Is it there will be the change in the shape and size of that particular object if the metallic block is quite heavy? No, not at all possible for you, right? So within that particular range, within that particular limit, we can say that there will be no change in the shape and size of the body. In other words, we are supposed to say, if there is no change in the relative distance between, means there will be no change in the distance between them, that means there will be no change in the shape of the body. So that kind of body is called as a rigid body. So rotation is nothing but if we apply force to such a rigid body, if we apply a force to such a body, and axis of rotation is within the body, axis of rotation is axis of rotation is within a body. This is a very, very important thing. In the case of rotation, axis of rotation is within a body. But you may say that so in the case of door, is it the axis is within a body? Yes, because door is attached to hinges, and hinges is nothing but a part of that particular door. So that's the reason why that is the rotation. But in the case of moon and sun, let's take a you can take a moon and sun, and we can say that any planet. Let's take an example of a sun, and I'm going to take a planet. That dot is very, very short in compared to the sun, because sun is very big in size. Okay, so as this is the axis of rotation, and this body is rotating, this body is revolving. Why it is called as a revolution, or why this phenomenon is called as a revolving? Because axis of rotation is out of that particular body. You may say that axis of rotation is within a sun, but sun is not rotating about that particular planet, but planets are moving around that particular sun. So that's the reason why when the axis of rotation is out of the body, which is in motion, then that kind of thing is, or that kind of, we can say, phenomenon is called as a revolution. So that is the basic, we can say, the difference that you might have studied in the 7 or 8 standard, but I'm just going to repeat because that is very important for us. So we are not going to see any revolutionary kind of phenomena. We are just, in this particular chapter, we are going to study here, we can say that rotation, right? So let's take a one simple derivation for us. The first derivation of this particular, we can say that this particular chapter, right? So let's say kinetic energy of rotating body. Kinetic energy of rotating body. Kinetic energy of rotating body. Now, what kinetic energy is? What exactly is the kinetic energy? For example, we knew that. What do you mean if there is a rigid body, and that body is rotating about this particular axis? Say first particle whose mass is say m1, which is at a distance r1 from this axis of rotation, right? Take a second particle, say whose mass is m2. Particle means point mass we can consider, right? Mass is m2, which is at a distance say r2. Say there is a third particle whose mass is m3, which is not outside the body, within the body I'm just talking about, which is at a distance r3 from a axis of rotation. This r1, r2 and r3 all called as the perpendicular distances. Right? All are perpendicular distances. Right? Now, as we are talking about that, there are n number of particles. Let's take the nth particle. Say the nth particle whose mass is mn, which is at a distance rn, say rn. If an object is rotating about an axis, means every particle supposed to sustain circular motion. You may take an example of a door. As we are rotating a door, a particle is supposed to sustain a circular path. Particle is supposed to sustain a circular path. For example, I'm going to show you that thing. For example, here, if this is the object I'm talking about, or you can take even pen also. If this is a fixed, this particular pen is fixed with my hand, let's say, right, and it is going to rotate. As it is going to rotate, what kind of single particle single particle supposed to sustain what kind of motion? We can say that circular motion, right? So one single particle, so when object rotate, that time a single particle subtend circular motion. Is that getting okay? Now, as let's again go to our diagram. So every particle is supposed to subtend circular motion. Every particle is supposed to circular motion. Every particle is supposed to circular motion. If the first particle is moving with a velocity v1, second particle is moving with a velocity v2, third particle is moving with a velocity v3, and n number of particle is moving with a or nth number of particle moving with a velocity vn. Let point masses. Let point masses m1, m2, m3, m4 up to mn are at a distance. Are at a distance. Are at a distance r1, r2, r3, r4 up to rn. You can write down r4 also. No need to write down r4 also. That choice is yours. And moving with is the point mass. How many point masses are there? N number of point masses are there. M1, M2, M3, M4 up to Mn, and they are at a distance. They are at a distance. M1 is distance at r1. M2 is the distance at r2. M3 is at a distance r3, and nth particle which is at a distance rn. Right? And they are moving with, and they are miss M1, M2, M3, M4, Mn are moving. They are moving with. They are moving with. They are moving with velocity. They are moving with velocity. Say v1 means m1 moving with v1, m2 is moving with a v2, m3 is moving with a, we can say that v3 up to you can take a v4 also, no need. But I'm just going to take a 3 particle and the last one moving with the velocity vn.
Vn.
Yes. So kinetic energy of the first particle, that will be equals to 1/2 mass of the first particle into velocity of the first particle. That's finished, right? Then kinetic energy of the second particle, that will be equals to 1/2 m2 v2 square, right? Then kinetic energy of the third particle, that is equals to 1/2 m3 v3 square, and the kinetic energy of the nth particle, kinetic energy of the nth particle will be equal to 1/2 mn vn square. And one more important thing, every particle is supposed to subtend same angle in a same time. That's the reason why omega is constant for all. Omega is constant for all. In our day-to-day life, it's supposed to happen like that. When we are opening a door, is it possible that half of the door is coming first and the half is remaining behind? It is not like that. Whole door is coming toward us. Means every point of that particular door is supposed to cover equal angle in equal time. That's the reason why. That's the reason why. As I am just moving, every point they are moving from here to here. Every point they are moving from here to here. They are moving from here to here. That means they're supposed to certain fixed angle. So that's the reason why omega is constant for all. See, there are only a few minutes are left. You can rejoin for the remaining derivation. We will finish this derivation today, and for the next lecture we'll continue that particular derivation. So what to do? Just for 10-15 minutes you can join again, because this particular meeting is going to over. You can join again.